This is a vaccine that they'll be using 2 or 3 years down the road.
UT Medical Center is playing a key role in a future flu vaccine that could save a lot of lives. Doctors say getting a flu shot is critical, especially now that we're well into flu season. Distributors of the vaccine plan to offer as many as 168 million doses this season. In Tennessee, the health department says 5 of the state's 95 counties have confirmed at least one flu case in recent weeks, and those numbers are expected to grow in the coming weeks. Most of us are focused on doing what we can now to avoid the virus, but experts at UT are looking at preventatives in the years to come. WBIR 10 News anchor Brandon Bates joins us with their role in the effort to find the perfect vaccine. Brandon?
Well, John, UT Medical is currently conducting a clinical trial to find a new vaccine for the flu, which is a viral infection that's always changing.
October is coming to an end and flu season is just beginning. Many doctors are focused on treating patients and waiting for the peak season, which according to the CDC is typically between January and February.
My stack's back there.
But others are looking years into the future, working on creating the next vaccine for the virus that affects between 9 and 35 million people a year in the U.S.
We're making sure that it works.
Here in Knoxville, Dr. William Smith has been researching the flu for 15 years.
You have to do flu vaccine studies every year because the flu vaccine migrates.
That's why UT Medical is starting a new clinical trial involving 150 people over the age of 75 because they, along with children under 5 years old, are most at risk.
Everyone in the study will get either the new vaccine or a currently available vaccine.
Dr. Smith says these vaccines must be created years in advance.
This is a vaccine that they'll be using 2 or 3 years down the road.
Finding what strains of the virus to watch for comes down to research by the CDC.
Flu generally migrates from somewhere in Asia.
From 2010 to today, the CDC estimates that the flu has resulted in between 140 and 710,000 hospitalizations each year. Another reason researchers are constantly working to perfect the vaccine.
And this clinical study of 150 people here in Knoxville is part of a much bigger picture. 4,000 people across the country will go through the same trial to help researchers find a future vaccine. John?
Brandon Bates on the story. Thank you.